So, what did it look like when I got diagnosed as an adult? First thing that happened was before I even met face to face with the person doing my assessment, I was given a couple of questionnaires to fill out, and they're ones you can find online, actually, to be honest with you. So, I already knew how my AQ and my CAT-Q scores looked, but I was given a couple of questionnaires to do on my own and to submit before our meeting. It was 2 sessions, and there were 2 components. It was probably the same assessment, but um, multiple parts. So part of what was happening was me being interviewed about my younger years because to be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, the symptoms need to be present when you're young. So I was an adult and they had to get some intel on what my childhood looked like. And then the other part was directly observing me doing different exercises that were part of the assessment. So, a couple of examples of things I remember from my assessment. I was asked about my childhood and what my favorite toys were, what I liked to play. And I remember explaining that I really didn't generally like toys so much as sensory experiences. I would climb the outer rails of the playground at recess. If we had indoor recess, I would just take all of the math cubes and put them in a long line and try to go around the entire circumference of the room. The toy I did like, however, was Bop It, which is really just a STEM toy, and my record was 425, and I remembered that. Uh, Another example of something I remember from my assessment was in the direct assessment. I was asked a very open-ended question about what was happening in a picture with 2 women having a meeting in a restaurant. And I answered, and she said something to the effect of, "Is there anything else?" Which made me think, oh, wow, I must have missed something, but I did not know what I missed. So I told her the truth, which is, I know this has nothing to do with what they're doing, but there's a cannoli on the table because that's the detail that I was fixated on. It was a really interesting experience, and I'm sure other autistic adults had their own unique experiences, but that is what my autism diagnosis process looked like.